Hello everyone, I am Assistant Professor Sanandhi Sachdeva. I am from Jaipuria Institute of Management, and today we will be talking about memorandum and presentation, which is a part of Unit 3 of our subject KMBN 107 Business Communication. So students, let us understand what all we will be covering in the presentation. First of all, we will be learning about memorandum, which is also called a memo. We will be learning of how do we write an effective business memo. We will be learning about the parts of the business memo. We will be learning about the format. We would be also covering what is a presentation, how do we prepare an outline of an effective presentation, what are the types of the presentation, and whenever we are designing the presentation, what are the various stages. Coming to the first topic, memorandum, it has been derived from a Latin word memorare. So now memorare literally means to provide information. So as the name suggests, memorandum provides information about a certain area or an issue. It brings the attention of the reader towards an issue. A memorandum can also be called as a reminder. So it can be used while we are communicating the policies and the processes of an organization. If there is any kind of change in the policy or the process of the organization, it has a twofold purpose. First of all, it brings the attention towards the problem, and then eventually it solves the problem. Moving on, memo can be written from junior to senior. It can travel in any direction. Based upon the direction, communication network can be upward, it can be downward, it can be lateral, it can also be crosswise. So memorandum can travel downward also, upward also, laterally also, diagonally also within the organization. It is basically an intra-organizational tool, written tool, which is used within the organization. So the purpose of writing a memorandum can be informing the reader about the policy change, or if in case there is any kind of promotion within the company, or if in case you want to bring the notice of the individuals towards any kind of issue, for example electricity misuse or water conservation. So a memorandum is the best tool which can be used for that. Now a memorandum is much different when we compare it with another popular written communication tool, which is a business letter. A memorandum is rather little informal when compared with a business letter. Business letter is a much formal area or a tool of written communication. Moving on, whenever we are writing an effective business memo, what are the areas to be considered? Number one, the business memo or the memorandum has to be keeping the audience in point of view. The audience orientation has to be high. It means, for example, the management knows an acronym which is not known by the people who are working in the organization. So it is very important to use the words that are known by the individuals who are reading the memorandum. Jargon should not be used, because at times jargon is not understood by the individuals and it might create a semantic barrier for the people who are reading the memorandum. Moving on, the tone has to be very professional as well as formal. Now you are writing the memorandum on behalf of the organization, so you are addressing the people and you are the voice of the organization. So your tone has to be professional as well as formal. You should subject emphasis on whatever you want to communicate with the help of the memorandum. The format has to be very direct. That means it should be very clearly announced. The tone has to be direct. There should not be any bias or ambiguity in the tone. Moving on, the memorandum has to be objective. It should not be subjective. Any kind of personal bias should not creep in while writing a memorandum. It has to be very concise as well as precise. So it has to be written in minimum possible words, plus it should talk to the point without any extra wordiness. It has to be signed by a competent authority. the authority who is issuing that memorandum, he or that authority should sign that particular memorandum, and it should adopt a direct style of communication and it should not adopt an indirect style of communication. Moving on, if I talk about the parts and the formats of memo, let's come to the parts of memorandum first. The first segment of a memorandum is called a heading segment. Now, heading segment has four major things to be taken care of. Number one, to. Now, who is to whom the memorandum has been addressed, that is the reader's name and the job title. At times, in front of to, we may write all staff if we are addressing the whole staff through the memorandum. From is the individual who is writing the memorandum. Date is the complete date, the current date on which the memorandum is being written, and the subject. Now, subject is what the memorandum will talk about. As told, subject has to be very crisp as well as precise. It has to be concise and it has to be to the mark. Moving on to the opening, context and task segment. Now, the purpose of the memorandum is stated in the first paragraph. As I have already told, that memorandum actually brings the focus on the problem and then solves the problem. So, the opening, context and task segment are actually made in order to bring the attention of the reader on the problem and then to solve the problem towards the later stage. Now, the purpose of the memo is usually stated in the opening paragraph and you tell the reader what the memorandum is going to be about. Moving on, the context, the circumstance and the background of the event are explained in the subsequent lines. Moving on, the task segment actually solves the problem or gives the area where the reader has to work for solving that particular problem. Next is the closing segment. It is always closed with a very courteous ending. Now, why the ending is required to be courteous? Because if the ending is courteous, it will call for an action. So, the ending of a memorandum should always be very polite as well as very courteous. Now, memorandum can be made or can be written in two types of format. One is full block format and another one is semi block format. The difference in the format is the alignment of the text and the various elements of the text. In the full block format, all the elements that we have already talked about will be left aligned, whereas in the semi block format, the date line, the signature block are right aligned, whereas the rest of the elements that we have already talked about are left aligned. So, students, we need to take care of the format that we are writing the memorandum in. Usually in corporates, a full block format is being used nowadays. Now, talking about the format of writing a memorandum, this is a memo with full block format that is to be followed by all of you. Now, let me explain the language that has been written in this memorandum and how can we make or design an effective memorandum. First of all, let us talk about the starting area, which has the heading segment. Now, heading segment, as already informed, it has four major areas. Number one, to whom the memorandum is being addressed, from, who is writing the memorandum, date, the date on which memorandum is being issued or written, and subject has to be very concise as well as precise and must talk about what is being intended in the memorandum. So, the subject of this particular intra-office memorandum is stopping the misuse of electricity, which is one of the main problem being faced by the corporate nowadays. So, please focus on the language. It has been observed that the staff members are not switching off the fans, lights, air conditioner, desktop even after the duty hours. Now, this area focusing upon the opening segment, you are actually telling your audience or the one who is reading the memorandum that what is the problem that is to be focused upon. So, memorandum talks about the problem first. After that, this has not only been adding to the electricity bill, but also is a national wastage of the resources of the country. We are required to be extremely vigilant regarding such issue. This will not only benefit us, but also the future generation. So, now this has also offered a solution. What is the solution in this particular case? The solution is being vigilant in this particular situation. towards the end, the company is persuading everyone that let us aim towards sustainable development and sensibly make use of energy. As talked before, the ending of the memorandum is required to be very courteous. So, they have ended the memorandum by pointing out a new campaign that the company has set up, which is the Save Energy campaign. So, all are hereby requested to contribute towards the company's campaign on Save Energy. So, this is giving a perfect courteous closing segment to our memorandum. As you can see, the language that has been used is very simple, because there should not be any barrier that is arising, any semantic barrier that is arising by using any word which is not understood by our intended audience or the intended readers. Next is the issuing authority, who is issuing the memorandum, the signature and the attachments. Now, attachments are optional. If in case they are required with the memorandum, they can be enclosed, otherwise it might also work without the attachments. Moving on, students, coming to a very important topic, which is called a presentation. Now, all of us misunderstand presentation as PPT. No, students, presentation is not a PPT. Presentation is a way of presenting. Speech is also a form of presentation, and what I am doing right now in front of you is also a form of presentation. So, presentation is a suggestion of an idea as a solution given to any problem. It can be considered as one of the most popular forms, because always one time or another you are presenting any of the issue that you are facing. So, presentation are often used to present written documents. It can also be called as the act of presenting a topic to the intended audience. Now, presentation have three main elements. Number one is the presenter, the person who is presenting, this or can also be known as the speaker, the audience, and the specific content that is intended to be delivered to the audience. While coming to what are the prerequisites while we are presenting a topic in front of the audience, number one, you should consider the occasion and the objective. You need to devise the content focusing upon the occasion as well as the objective with which you are intending or making the presentation to be delivered. Then you have to make an audience analysis. An extremely important as well as an intricate point, that audience analysis has to be made. What kind of audience are you addressing? Are the audience actually well informed, or they are to be informed for the first time regarding the issue? So, we need to make a detailed understanding of our audience. Moving on, we should get acquainted to the audience. We should decide the mode of presentation, whether it will be oral presentation. If it is an oral presentation, what kind of visual aids are required? For example, right now I am using this visual aid of a PPT, and I am also using this pen. This is also a visual aid because it is helping me to explain certain things to you in a very well designed manner. Moving on, we are planning out, you require to plan out a script while giving a presentation, and then you should consider the verbal and the non-verbal factors, two very important factors. Verbal factors are what kind of oral and written communication you are using. Non-verbal factors would include that what is going to be the tone of your presentation, what is going to be the pitch, the pronunciation, the pace of your presentation, whether what color are you wearing in your presentation. That is also a very important factor, students. What will be the time slot of this presentation? So, all the verbal and the non-verbal factors are of extreme importance while we are delivering a presentation. Now, let us discuss that while we are preparing an outline of the presentation, what all can be the required, or what all are the types of outline or during a presentation. Number one is the chronological method. As the word suggests, chronology is something which is occurring as per the date. So, the event that has happened first comes first, and the event that has happened later comes later. So, this is quite an important outline, or quite an important way in which many of the presentations are being made. Next is topical or subject method presentation. For example, right now I am explaining you the memorandum and the presentation. Before that I might have explained you business letter. So I am making subject wise or topic wise presentation. So this is a topical method. Next is the logical rational method. Under logical rational method, we focus upon the cause and effect relationship. For example, students, during Diwali the sales of a company increases. So if the company wants to explain the reasons for sale or excessive sale of a product, electronics for that matter, at that time a company can use logical rational method, in which it can tell that because it was Diwali, so the sales were humongous, or due to the pandemic the aviation sector has got very down. So this method can help in explanation of that particular issue while we are presenting this issue to someone. Moving on is the difficulty method. Now the way we have been studying till now is a difficulty method. We started from something which was very simple, ABC, then we moved on to the words, and now we are pursuing management courses and learning how to prepare a presentation. So this is what? This is a difficulty method. So you are actually arranging things as per the level of the difficulty of that particular topic. Moving on to the need plan method, it is organized on the basis of problem and solution. Usually when a customer is facing any kind of grievance and a strategy has to be made to address the grievance, at that point in time need plan method can be used. Moving on. Now these are certain kind of presentation, the types of presentation that I have put on for your understanding. The first one being the briefing. Now what is briefing? Briefing is whenever you are actually telling about a new plan, or you are telling your intended audience that what exactly is to be done, what is the new organizational policy that is being aligned. So you brief the audience regarding a particular issue. A team leader always briefs his team regarding the goals that have been set for them. Next is orientation program. Orientation program, students, is a kind of presentation that an individual makes to welcome the new employees in an organization. Next is the training session, when you are training an individual to operate a software or a program. Next is a demonstration. A demonstration is a simultaneous approach where you are actually doing a thing and you are also explaining the thing to the intended audience. Next comes your illustrated talks about a particular issue or an area. The presentation on progress report, giving the status of monthly sales statistics. It could be talking about the progress, how the company has been progressing about a particular issue or a sale point. Moving on, a presentation on research report describing market research analysis. Convention and conferences, usually talking about reporting the advancement that the organization has done. Moving on, sales presentation or sales pitch, telling that how exactly the company has been doing, what are the unique features of the product that the company has just introduced. Next is the elevator pitch. Elevator pitch is talking all about grabbing attention of your customers within a minute, in less than a minute. So your elevator pitch holds a very high importance, and you grab the attention by giving very strong opening statements. Or any kind of ceremonial occasion can also come under the type of presentation. Moving on, while we are making a presentation or we are developing the content of the presentation, what are the stages that are needed to be taken care of? First one is stage 1. You need to analyze the audience, students. As I have already discussed that analyzing the audience is very important. It is a mandate for a presentation. So you need to go beyond the initial assumptions, because what you have assumed, your audience might be like that, might not be like that. So knowing the audience is of prime importance. Your audience can be divided into two types: either you are unfamiliar with the audience or you are familiar with the audience. Now once your audience is unfamiliar, then you need to approach them by understanding them through by getting a lot of information. You need to understand their demographic factors, that what is the age of the audience is belonging to, what is the gender, what is their caste, what is their religion. These are the intricate things which would definitely help you while you are making a presentation for the intended audience. Then you need to learn about the group, that what kind of group is it, what are their tendencies, what exactly do they like, do they enjoy humor or do they enjoy the presentations which are very serious in nature. Then you need to inquire about the individuals by gathering the information and learning about the group. So this is for the unfamiliar audience. Moving on, if the audience is familiar to you, then also you need to learn more about them by confirming their demographics. Then you can analyze the group by knowing their tendencies, that what are their preferences, what are their likes and dislikes. You can use an opinion survey for that. It is a quick survey that lets us know the kind of audience that we are dealing with. It is very important for many companies where they use an opinion survey to know what exactly the audience like or dislike. So before preparing a presentation, the stage 1 of analyzing the audience is of prime importance, because only after analyzing the audience you are going to make your presentation with a lot of consideration, focusing upon the you attitude. Now what is you attitude? You attitude talks about keeping your receiver in mind. Once you are keeping your receiver in mind, you are empathizing with your receiver, it really helps you a lot in forming content for them. You need to empathize and you need to understand the psychology of the receiver to make your presentation very interesting and to make sure that your presentation grabs some kind of attention. Moving on, you need to identify your communication purpose, students. Every time a communication is taking place with a purpose. Now when your communication is taking place with a purpose, it is a mandate for the sender to know the purpose, that why am I undertaking this particular communication. In the corporate, once you have understood the purpose, you need to analyze the speaker's control and audience involvement also. The speaker need to understand whether it is a tell mode of presentation or whether it is a sell mode of presentation. Let me give you a difference between these two modes of presentation. A tell mode of presentation is basically a speech which is very informative in nature, and it helps the individual to understand the complete detail about a particular thing. Such kind of presentation requires a lot of patience to be framed also and a lot of patience to be listened also. Such kind of presentations must be very interesting, so that the receiver is paying a lot of attention to that. Sell mode of presentation on the other hand are very quick, and you need to pitch in the product or the service that you are selling. Students, interview is also an example of, you can say, sell mode of presentation. You are selling your skill set for the kind of service that is that you are actually offering to the company. So that is also a sell mode of presentation. So sell mode of presentation requires to be very quick and the pitching has to be correct, so that it can actually blow the nail and actually focus upon what exactly the receiver needs to hear. Moving on, making your message more effective. As I have already discussed the you attitude, so you need to make your message more effective. You need to harness the power of beginning and ending, students. Now this is very important. It is very important for an individual to harness the power of beginning and ending. That means your introduction as well as conclusion requires to be very strong. Now why is introduction required to be strong? Because introduction actually decides that how much level of attention the receiver is going to pay to your message, and the conclusion decides that what is going to be action, or you can say act of action on your particular approach that you have made the presentation with. So your power of beginning and power of ending, you need to harness the power of beginning as well as the power of ending. Now a very important technique, students, you can use direct approach or an indirect approach, but you need to chunk your content for the presentation. Now, what is chunking your content? Chunking your content focuses upon making mini memory curves. Now, what are mini memory curves? Mini memory curves are the ups and downs that you take in your presentation. Each of the memory curve will get imbibed in the mind of the listener. If you try and make mini memory curves, it will help the individual to recall what you have talked about. So, this chunking is a very important technique. Example of chunking could be, while you are introducing your presentation, you can tell your receiver the agenda. So, that agenda will make mini memory curve in the mind of the receiver, and your receiver will know, okay, this is the beginning, now we are talking about the problem, now we are talking about the solution, and now we are talking about a plan that this problem should not come again. Alright. So, we can also use a highlighting technique. Now, highlighting technique are things like repetition. If I am repeating a word again and again, automatically it will get highlighted and it will be fed, it will be stored in your memory. I can also use flagging technique. Under flagging technique, I can tell you that this is most important area where you need to pay attention. I can also use a very surprising fact to draw your attention. Then I can use a lot of visual or pictorial representations of a particular thing. You might have seen that a lot of presentations are made using a visual aid called PowerPoint presentation, and a lot of bar graph and bar charts are made in them. What is the major reason of doing that? The major reason of doing that is to create a visual in front of the audience, so that the audience is able to relate to what is being said. Pictures always draws attention, students, and if you give a basic statistical data in a table, it will not be remembered. But on the contrary, if you give that data using a bar graph, that will definitely be remembered, and it will be very easy for the audience to comprehend that. Moving on, your audience has to be keep involved every point in time, because if your audience lose involvement, then at that point of time they may lose the attention and the whole process of communicating will go in vain. At that point of time, you need to ensure that you are taking constant feedback from the people who are listening to you. You are involving them, you are reading their body language, you are understanding that whether they are nodding, whether they are not nodding, what is the position of their head, are they in a correct listening posture or not. So, everything sorry, has to be taken care of while we are presenting a presentation in front of an individual. So, that is all from my side, students. So, a pro tip is that while you are presenting a presentation or a speech in front of an individual, you need to take care of what you are wearing, how you are dressed up, what is your non-verbal cues that you are using. For example, what is the tone that you are using? The technique of word stress has to be paid attention upon. The technique of intonation and modulation is very important at that point of time. You need to play with your voice so that the other person is definitely paying attention to what is being said. So, thank you. That is all from my side. Have a good day.